Today I want to show you a tool that I recently have developed to help make my recruiters' jobs a lot easier. The way I'm using AI is internally is to help improve the productivity of my people so they don't have to do the mundane, repetitive tasks, things that are done over and over again. I think that's a great use of AI. We've used AI in a couple of situations. Today I'm going to show you one that's a little more complex but very powerful. This one is set up to help our recruiters prepare candidates for interviews. So this is kind of an interview role play for candidates that are looking for new jobs. Most of the time, our recruiters work with the candidates and they provide this information to them when they have time. A lot of times they're too busy to actually give the candidate this much attention. So we figured that this way, setting it up with the AI doing the prep, it would take the burden off the recruiters. And the way this is set up, the prep can be just as good as if a recruiter does it. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to have this, the video is kind of in two parts. One part's going to be big picture, show you how it works. And then the second half of the video, and I'll let you know when I get there, will be a little bit more technical and show you the back end and how all this is accomplished. But for those of you who are busy, just want to observe like how these tools can be used and think about different applications in your companies. I think that's the role of leaders in companies, is to know, just to be aware of the technology so you can push your people to use these tools to improve productivity. Because let's face it, if you're not using these tools to help improve productivity and operational efficiencies in your company, and somebody else is, a competitor is, they're going to get things done faster, better, and their bottom line, their profit is going to be higher. So you got to learn how to use this stuff, or just maybe not learn how to use it, but be aware of what it can do. So this one, once again, this is a interview chatbot. This is going to help somebody get ready for an interview. And this, I've got this set up for either an account manager or business developer. So somebody who's more of a farmer or hunter, to use those terms. That's what this is set up for. Okay, so the first thing obviously is you just hit start conversation. I will say that you can set this up too so that the input could be, could be voice. I set this back to text for this demo. So I'm going to show you how to do it just using text. So I'm going to hit start conversation, and then you're going to hear an AI voice start talking.
Hi there, I'm here to help you prepare for your interview. Before we start, what is your first name? Nice to meet you, Tony. Are you interviewing for an account manager or business development position?
Okay, and I've set this part up, and so I can have account manager, business developer, ever how many different buttons I wanted to have. This one's set up with two different paths, two different flows. So there's different questions for account manager, and there's different questions for business developer. So I've got about 5 or 6 questions for each. And these are questions that we would typically ask, or if you're interviewing a candidate, these are the questions you would typically ask for each one of these roles. Keep in mind too, that I have put a knowledge base in this. I've given it some intelligence. I've uploaded files that we have from our training that the large language model will reference those files as it adds. They're going to have 5 or 6 questions for each one of these.
Let's get you ready for your interview by practicing. I will ask you some interview questions and you can respond. Great. Let's begin with the first question. Tell me about yourself. Thank you for your response, Tony. You provided a comprehensive overview of your background and interests, which is great. Here are a few points of feedback. 1. Structure. While your answer is informative, consider structuring it in a way that highlights your professional journey, key achievements, and what you're looking for in your next role. This can help the interviewer understand your motivations and how your experience aligns with the position. 2. Relevance. Tailor. Please give me an example of how you saved a large client that was it.
Okay, yeah, I typed in next question, so it started going to the next question, but you can see this works. It's going to be nice. I can set the tone. As a matter of fact, I can have this actually pick up on the tone of the person providing the answers as well and remind them to have a more friendly tone or whatever. I don't have tone set in this one, but so you can see it's going through, it's teaching me, and then it gives me an example of how I should have done this. And then it says, would you like to move on to the next question? I typed in next question. And then it says, please give me an example of how you saved a large client that was in jeopardy. So there again, I can change these questions. I'll go through all of these questions, 5 or 6 questions the person will practice. And for each question, it will give them a critique, but it speaks in a friendly manner. And there again, you can set all the tones and how it talks. So that's for account manager. Then I have a whole nother set of questions for the business developer. Now that's how this works. Just keep in mind though, now you have to think about your company and how you could use this. You could use this if you manage salespeople. You could set this up so it could role play. So you could have it set up so the AI is the customer that your salesperson is calling on, and you could have a series of questions set up so that if your salesperson is not asking the right questions, then the AI could prompt it. So your AI could be the customer, but also provide critique on how well your salesperson does. So if you're training new people, this is really great for training. Also, we have this set up for Connexus in our training. Yeah, here's an example. This is our training. So if I wanted to, we've created this for our new recruiters. If they want to learn something, we can we can start a conversation here and ask, and they can ask, and there's all kind of resources in here. I'll show you one real quick. Okay, and I had the voice turned off on this one, but I'm designed to help you learn how to recruit. What do you need help with? How do I recruit pathologists? So now I have all this in one place. And so then it gives me a summary. And then also if I click on this, it will actually take me to the source. And in this case, the source is actually a video.
It's now for over 21 years.
And so I won't go through all this, but I just wanted to show you there's different applications that you can use for this. Basically your housing information. This has I'll show you the back end of this as well. You can see on this one, there's 55 different pieces of information in here. So these are things that we've uploaded into it. So this is how it accesses the information. So it pulls from here. So it's not hallucinating. It's actually using this information from sources that we have given it. Okay, so now here's a little bit more of the technical part. Some of you may not really care much about this, but this is the workflow for the first video where the AI was role playing with somebody getting ready for an interview. So it's a little bit more complex than the last one I showed you. The one for our training is pretty simple because it's just pulling off a knowledge base. This one actually has a couple of loops. And so there again, some of you may not care about all this, but you can see that here are the first questions. Hi there, I'm here to help you prepare for an interview. Before we start, what's your name? And so this is a variable. So when you say your name, it collects this as a variable, and then it puts it over here. Nice to meet you. And it says your first name. So that's how you set up variables. And then you can see it takes you down here. And this is where it starts making some decisions. Are you interviewing for an account manager or business development position? So if you say account manager, it takes you through this loop and it brings you over to this branch and it runs you through here. And the reason it has a loop here is because it's asking questions, 5 or 6 questions over and over again. And so that's how that works. And then for business development, same thing. There's a separate loop for business development. Now let's get you ready for your interview. And so it goes through this. And then there again, this is pretty technical, but this is where it starts pulling from. This one's set up so it pulls actually from OpenAI, the back end, the API keys on OpenAI. And you can see here there's some this is what we call post. So it's pulling from OpenAI. So I have an assistant that's set up in OpenAI that this is calling and gathering information from OpenAI. So this is a voice flow program working with AI assistants from OpenAI that I programmed in OpenAI. And it's just it's a quicker and more efficient way of doing it. There again, this is not a technical video going into details of how to do it, but you can see that it gathers this information and it starts and gathering the information. So there again, if you're not interested in doing all the program, you don't have to. On this one, if I wanted to add another, let's say it says account manager, business phone. Let's say I wanted to put a strategic account manager here. I could add a block here, and then I could copy this stuff, make some changes. I'd have to create another assistant in OpenAI, and then it would call that assistant. So I have an assistant behind the scenes doing account manager and business development also. And so I'd have a third one if I had a third different category. But anyway, that's just a big picture overview. I thought this would help you. The main thing is just look for ways to use this. Don't worry about the technical part. I'm glad to help you. If you need help, just let me know. I think it's best to start off with internal projects like this and then move to external projects. You could do this with customers. We have some chatbots like on our website that are there to answer questions. We have them for candidate information. We have different ways of exchanging information with candidates or people who come to our website as well. Anyway, I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.